Hello everyone, I'm that guy, and today we're back in Satisfactory. It is episode 7. I've been beyond thrilled with the response to this series. You guys really seem to like it, and I am enjoying the hell out of playing. In the last episode, we went on a little explore and collected a bunch of hard drives. In this episode, it is going to finally be time to implement the master plan. We're basically going to completely reorganize the factory today. It's going to be a long, arduous process. I don't know how much is going to get through on the edit. We need to get this whole place reorganized and looking like a proper factory. Right now, it's just a hodgepodge mess of belts and builders. As I was telling you about in previous episodes, we have this subfloor here with the intended purpose of having all of our belt work living in here. I want to have a nice compact arrangement of smelters, assemblers, and constructors. So I'm hoping to utilize the Blueprint Designer here to help with reorganizing our factory. I'm hoping this guy is going to let us lay things out in a little more logical fashion. So take a load off, kick back, and relax while we construct this new episode of Satisfactory. Oh, come on. How did you get stuck there? Come on. Come on, buddy. Get down. There you go. To kick off this new round of factory expansion, we need to start with some awesome tickets. I've had the awesome sink running for just a little bit here, collecting up some basic resources. So let's see, it looks like we've got 9 coupons ready to print off. I will take those. If we consult the awesome shop, I want to get one of these conveyor lift holes. Want to also get some conveyor ceiling mounts, power outlets. Assuming we can stick these on the ceiling would also be a very nice thing to have. So that's going to be 5 awesome tickets out of the 12 that we have. Not bad at all. In logistics, we now have the conveyor ceiling mount and the conveyor lift floor hole. With our new factory organization items acquired, I think now is going to be the time to start the reorganization process. Oh, don't get stuck on there again. Get off. First things first, let's see what one of these conveyor lift holes looks like. Looks like we can put those pretty much anywhere on a tile. And if we take a conveyor lift, oh nice, it just locks right in there. Yeah, got 4 cardinal directions, keeps it nice and organized. Yeah, all right. Next thing, I want to check out this Blueprint Designer. There we go. Dang. What say we try and design a smelter line? 3 belts into smelters, and those go into constructors. So we can fit 4 constructors on one of these guys, which should be able to be supplied by 2 smelters. Yeah, that looks nice and lined up. So then if we take a little belt out, yeah, like there, and then we take a splitter, put it on like that and that. Okay, that should work all right. So we'll go ahead and set these up for iron ingots. I don't know, we'll do like iron plates on these and iron rods on these. So we can just feed a belt of iron into each of these and it should be a basic iron thing. We'll call this iron ore. into plates and rods. Oh yeah, there we go. We got this blueprinted up and ready to just schlep on down. Cool. Going on over there, he's just sliding across the ground. So I'm just thinking about what I want to first address in this monstrosity of a factory. I'm back and some time has passed. You can see I've been doing a little bit of work to the factory, and well, I've come to a realization. So the plan originally was to rip all this stuff out and basically just completely rebuild it, get it nice and organized, get it all looking good. And most importantly, I wanted to try and get the first floor to be usable. Looking down here, the ceiling is pretty high up, but it turns out it's not high enough up. If I pull out my blueprint designer, you can see that the top is very badly clipping into the ceiling. In fact, it's significantly higher than the ceiling. Even if I took the subfloor out that we spent so much time creating, you can see even over here, down onto the ground itself, outside of the subfloor, yeah, still doesn't work. Essentially, this whole area down here is useless to me. My goal is to process everything into modules. Specifically, I want blueprintable modules, and it's just not going to be possible with our current setup here. I tried a little bit of that down here and was able to get like some of it reorganized, but basically as soon as I started trying to really work with the blueprint system, this first floor here isn't going to work. So as a result, this next floor is also not going to work. The second floor is mostly independent of the first floor, but you can see these modular frames are coming up here and they're kind of critical to our whole operation. If we don't have these modular frames and all the steel stuff, essentially we're not going to be able to finish rebuilding this factory. There's just not enough room here to expand out everything that we need. Yesterday, after I started recording, I ended up just getting really frustrated and pausing the recording, then screwing around for the next like 4 or 5 hours, trying to figure out how we're gonna do this. And I've decided that falling back on my training in IT is going to be the best bet. Working with belts and fabricators and constructors and smelters and all of that is not dissimilar to working with like routers, switches, modems, that sort of things. Basically, we're going to be doing a hard cutover. What do I mean by a hard cutover? Essentially, we're rebuilding the entire first floor on the third floor. So all of those smelters, all of this stuff making like iron ingots, that is all getting rebuilt. Now, I still intend to get a lot of these conveyor belts into the subfloor here. In fact, I've even done a little bit of experimentation with the subfloor, and I've got our stuff basically lined up to go into the subfloor here. It's not going to be all of our belt work, it's just going to be the sort of sloppier belt work, like these bus belts here that takes you from one module to the next. That is essentially what we are going to be relocating into the subfloor. So each of these modules, or as I'm calling them, manifolds. Manifold is not my term, it's a term I saw used on one of the Satisfactory Blueprint websites, but modules, manifolds, whatever you want to call them, that is what we're going with moving forward. No longer am I going to be building bespoke buildings. We've graduated to blueprints, and it's time I started using them. I'm kind of embarrassed that it took me this long to really get that together. I started building out our first module manifolds. So I've essentially just started laying out how this factory is going to work going forward. Starting at the beginning here, we've got basic iron manifolds. These should be load balanced properly to accept one standard belt of iron. Doesn't have to be a pure node. If we have a pure node, then I don't know, it's just going to back up on these belts. I'm not going to really worry about trying to optimize for pure nodes yet. That is just not the phase of construction that we're in. I want to have something a little more elegant and a little more uniform and a little more modular. We're going to need to get a whole bunch of belts of iron up here. Each of those standard belts of iron is going to go into a smelter. That's going to make iron ingots. Those two are going to output onto a belt over to our next module. This first module here is an iron plate constructor. Took all of these blueprints off of a Satisfactory modding website, and I've modified them to our needs. They didn't work quite right as designed, so I just had to redesign them a little bit. I stuck with the basic layout, I just fixed the design. For whatever reason, these people had these manifolds designed to input and output in the same direction. That's not what I need here. I needed these to output on the opposite side. So basically, this is our output here on each of these manifolds. So we've got 4 constructors making iron plates. Moving down, we've got 8 constructors making iron rods. Now these 8 constructors are going into 4 screw constructors. I might start doing an inverted pyramid sort of design where each level comes out a bit more. I mean, we're gonna have to do that at some point, and I think we're high enough up over the toxic gas that it shouldn't do any damage to us. That's kind of a tour of what I've got in mind. What we're going to be doing for the rest of this episode is starting to roll out our manifolds. If we come over to the Blueprint Designer here, we've got a bunch of manifolds queued up. And yes, these aren't my own original constructions, but I am modifying them to our needs. Let's take the steel ingot manifold. Here we go. Okay, I've been spending too much time up here. I'm out of wire. Gonna have to go and get a little bit of that. Anyways, basically we're gonna load up these blueprint designs. We're gonna do a little bit of modification on them to make sure that they are set up correctly. And we are also going to expand out our 3rd floor here to cover the entire factory. Yeah, we're gonna have to throw lights in down on the 2nd level here, but it's just life. The plan is, once we have all of this 3rd floor expanded out, each of these is going to have a conveyor belt linked into it. I mean, obviously. But we are going to be using the conveyor belt lifters from here to go all the way down as far as we can go. Looks like we're going to have to do a couple of layers of these fellers. We may just... Whoa. No. Ow. Well, now we can see exactly how far this goes down. Yeah, so it doesn't quite go all the way down to ground level, even if we're, down at that level here. So we're gonna have to do a little bit. I might just add like another layer here to kind of hide this belt work. In fact, that's exactly what I'm gonna do, is I'm just gonna expand this line out here so we can have all of our belts worked in there. Yeah, we can just snap that right onto it and bring it down. And then we're going to take these belts that are coming in. For example, these iron and concrete belts, we are going to slap a splitter on them. We're going to bring that out, and we're going to have that going into our lifter boys here. So that's essentially going to split off the resources and get it kind of queued up all across the line. I'm gonna try and line up these guys back here as well. And yeah, we're essentially just gonna be putting splitters on all of this. Once all the splitters are hooked up, once everything is queued up on the line up here, we're gonna have a hard cutover point. So essentially we're gonna have power pole going up there. It's not going to be connected to anything. We're just going to cut the line going into the bottom factory, then hook this line up there, and then cut the belt off. Basically just deconstruct the belt. That will be our hard cutover point. You may be familiar with the concept of a cutover being a physical cut on the line. I don't know if you've ever seen this. I'm gonna put a link to it down in the video description of AT&T's hard cutover process. The way it works is really wild. I've never seen anything like it before. It's something that and I suspect a lot of people didn't realize was a physical cut. I'm going to try and put a clip up of the cutover, but it is literally a bunch of guys and they are cutting wires. So they're literally cutting over to new lines. That is the plan here. We are just going to keep expanding everything out and then start using these manifolds and modules in order to rebuild out essentially the first floor of our factory. Eventually, the second floor down here is also getting completely reconstructed. It, as you can see, is just an absolute nightmare mess of belt work, and I hate the way it is designed. It looks awful. So we're going to be cutting over all of this too, but that is going to be phase 2 of our big project. That is going on the next floor. So as you can see, we've got the blueprint designer here. That line up at the top is going to be where our next floor starts. And that is essentially going to be where all of this stuff is going to go. That is the plan for right now. It's not going to be very exciting. It's probably going to be a whole bunch of montage and cuts and general tomfoolery. I should probably stop complaining about this and actually get started. In order to get started, we are going to need a whole bunch of equipment. And to get that equipment up here easily, I think we are going to have to bite the bullet and build a down ramp. This is going to have to go all the way down to the ground from all the way the hell up here. And that's just going to make it possible to easily get back up here. It's going to be an eyesore, but we're going to deconstruct this once we're done. There. In fact, I'm even going to give it a extra wide lane just to be safe. And I'm gonna go back to our starter hub and pick up the wire that we will need to complete this project. Whee! Oh, little tippy. It'd probably be worth putting in some hyper tubes as well, but I don't know, I'm happy enough with the way this works. This tractor is fast enough, and it's not all that far. Let's grab some wire, let's grab some cabling. I was doing some research, and concrete offered the most points per unit of stuff that we could just really quickly construct. So this is kind of the best automated system I could come up with on such short notice to get us some tickets. And as you can see, we've already hit the point where like coupon cost is just skyrocketed exponentially. So we're not going to be getting a huge number of tickets for a little while, but it's at least something to get us started. Let's get back up to our third floor here, and we just need to start expanding out. First thing I'm going to do is get the rest of these floor plates in. That also includes our subfloor here. Oh, I'm so glad they added Zoop mode. That was one of the most frustrating parts of playing Satisfactory back in early access. I would absolutely love it if there was a 2D Zoop where I could go out as well, so I didn't have to just create lines. I'm just using these walls as a guide to where the limits of our subfloor are going to be. Oh man, I almost walked off there. Note to self, holograms are not solid objects. Boy, we're almost at the level that these big guys... Oh, we are at the level these big guys fly at. I wonder if I can jump on him. Oh, I'm gonna have to try that out one time when he passes by, because, oh man, we are up very high at this point. Oh, hey, I can ride you. This was not intentional. Okay, I don't know if I want to go over here, though. Yeah, I think we're just gonna hang out down here. But hey, that did confirm that we can ride those guys. At some point I need to just empty my inventory out so we can really go for a ride. Interesting. There's an invisible wall here. Whoa, 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 that was close. Oh, damn. That was really close. Alright, so that should be our floor assembled. Next, we need to focus on getting basic components in. Got all of our iron processors over there. Down here, I think I'm going to get our copper production set up. I've been lining these up in a special way. If we look down here, you'll see I've got the splitter lined up right on this four corner piece here. Yeah, we're gonna put it right here. This is gonna be the start of our copper manifold system. And again, I'm just using regular copper lines. Okay, I guess that's just a little too close to the space elevator. All right, fair enough. Then we are making it here. Guess this will just be a walkway then. I'm gonna put 2 copper manifolds in. So it's gonna be 4 copper processors here. And then I'm gonna put 2 more concrete lines in. Again, it's gonna be centered right there and right there. So these copper boys have a little bit less clearance on the sides. That's because these constructors are just a little bit bigger. So these copper processors are going to be going into our coil manifold. I want to show you what I'm talking about when it comes to the inputs and outputs on these. Take a look here. We've got the inputs on the 2 sides here, and the output is on the front. Well, I don't need this to come out on the front. This isn't going to work for our purposes. In order to remedy that, we are going to be updating and modifying these blueprints. Copper wire manifold, looking at it again, you can see this is the input here, this is the other input here, and for whatever reason, this is the output. I don't want this to be the output. So we're essentially ripping out the middle here and rebuilding it to our own needs. The merger is going to be in this direction. Yeah, right there. We take the conveyor belts coming out of here and out of there. Merger is going to merge into there. Again, these are coming out of here, and then I'm putting a little stub at the end of this just so I know I've got this going in the right direction. It can be a little disorienting. If you don't have it perfectly lined up, the hologram just get a bit weird. We're gonna come over here, call that copper manifold Mark II, save it out, clear the designer, pick our crap up, and then come over here and put that down. So essentially 2 ingot manifolds is gonna go into 1 wire manifold. Copper wire manifold, and it's basically going to line up the splitter here on this middle part between the 2 of them. You see, we've got this middle part here, so that is going to go here, but nope, we're putting that out 1 extra tile so we can have a little bit of extra clearance. These feed into here and into here. Should be balanced to make copper wires. So then we need to work on our cable manifold next. And yeah, we are out of iron plates already. Good lord, we are just going through iron plates like crazy. I guess we gotta go back down to the first floor and grab some more. Let's see, I think our ramp is here-ish. Nope. Are we gonna survive this? Wow, not even a scratch. Oh, this thing is invincible. I'm not, but the damn tractor is. Yeah, it should be enough for now. So this whole reconstruction strategy might be a several episode sort of affair. I've already been at this for an hour and we've basically made no progress. Interesting. Alright, so this is copper to cable. Yeah, looking at it, that is going to require a double copper. So I guess our concrete line is going to have to wait. I know a lot of stuff uses the wire and the cable, so we're definitely going to want to keep all of that in check. So yeah, I'm going to throw down 2 more copper lines here. That should handle our cabling needs. Got to get that oriented in the right direction. So those ingots are going to get fed into this guy over here. And it looks like he's actually oriented in the right direction. I don't know what's going on with these other blueprints. So this one should be good to use just as is. I may have miscalculated here. I thought there was 2 inputs on that, but those look like outputs. Might just be the 1 input. Okay, so it is just the 1 input. And you see, this is why I was struggling to record anything yesterday. So that needs 60 copper ingots a minute. This outputs 60 ingots a minute. So cool, we only need 1 of those copper boys to handle 1 of these wire boys. Or, sorry, I keep calling it wire. It's cable, it's not wire, you idiot. Alright, so I guess I'm gonna dismantle this guy. And then, yeah, we're gonna build the wire guy right here. Yes, right here. So that gives us a little bit of clearance on the side. Next thing we need to work on are the concrete manifolds, which looks like we are going to be stretching out a bit more. I always figured we'd have some kind of inverted pyramid sort of thing going on. Mercifully, this game does not calculate foundation load limits or vertical height or stress. Like, we're just assuming all of these factories are made out of magic metamaterials that are completely unbreakable and also are somehow locked in space. I assume they use some kind of like sci-fi magic, but in my head canon, all of these are using superconducting magnets. Doesn't make any sense, but that is my headcanon. Essentially, these are locked in space by superconduction. Now we can get our concrete manifolds in. So let's make this look nice. We'll give it a whole square of spacing there. So I'm just gonna come down to the line here and there. And there. We've got our copper in, we've got our iron in, we've got our concrete in. So that's our basic materials. We don't have any of the belts hooked up yet. That's not gonna happen for a while. But we've at least got our basics in. Hello everyone, that guy from the editor's desk here. This episode ended up being entirely too long for just 1 single video. I am splitting this up into 2 parts, so you're just gonna have to come back for part 2. We will continue the construction of our factory and have a little fun right at the end. I really hope you've enjoyed this first part of the episode. If you did, smash those like and subscribe buttons. We need your help to get to our first 1,000 subscribers. It's not gonna happen by the end of summer, but hopefully we'll get there eventually. down in the comments, leave any suggestions you might have for the continuation of this factory. I really want to hear from you. If you'd like to support us financially, you will find a link to our Patreon in the video description. But for now, I've been that guy, this has been Satisfactory, and we'll catch you back here on Wednesday for part 2. Take it easy, guys.